I recently came across several old concrete block farm buildings near Graceville, Minnesota, which made me want to learn more about them. There was an explosion of silo construction across the country in the early 1900s. Silos were the topic of the day among progressive farmers. By early 1914, the state of Wisconsin led the way in the total number of silos, which shouldn't be that much of a surprise, as Wisconsin is known as America's dairyland. Illinois came in second with over 17,000 silos, and Iowa came in third with over 16,000. Meanwhile, Minnesota was way down the list, with only about 2,400. However, dairy herds were growing across the state of Minnesota, so a lot more silos would be built. For those who may not know, a silo is an airtight receptacle to store forage, to preserve it in a clean and succulent state for feeding stock during the winter, or during summer droughts. Many of the early silos in America were built of stones. Therefore, they were rough and hard to build. However, it didn't take long before there were many different types of silos being built. These included brick, solid concrete, concrete block, concrete stave, and clay block. So which building material was the best? In many ways, this was like picking a favorite brand of tractor. If a farmer started with a certain brand and liked it, he became fiercely loyal to that brand. However, there were good silos of every type across the country. Farmers were just encouraged to have a silo on every farm. For dairy farmers, silage was the most economical and succulent food for dairy cows. In a ripe corn plant, 60% of the food value is contained in the kernels and 40% in the stalk and leaves. When combined with alfalfa or clover, it produces the most economical substitute for green grass. Succulent feed is essential to stock growing through Minnesota's long winters. In the 1910s, Minnesota was also becoming a large corn-producing state, and silos were the best means to store a portion of the corn crop as feed for livestock. No dairy farmer could profitably produce dairy products without the aid of a silo. The ideal silo had to be durable, moisture-proof, airtight, and had to protect the silage from freezing. The ideal silo also had to be somewhat attractive, as farmers wanted their buildings to be neat and inviting. Different colors could be added to concrete blocks to produce fancy patterns. The ideal silo also had to be fireproof, as farmers wanted a product that did not burn. If a wooden barn burned, the concrete silos would not. Finally, the ideal silo had to be economical. It generally had to pay for itself over time, or make financial sense. In 1911, one farming publication broke down the cost of the various components of a 16 by 36 foot silo. This totaled up to about $435, which would correspond to about $14,500 in 2024. Of those components, the farmer needed about 70 sacks of cement. Concrete was a relatively new building material in 1911, so few farmers were familiar with it. To build with concrete, a farmer needed cement, water, and sand, gravel, or crushed stone. Of those components, cement mix was likely the hardest to come by. However, there were huge cement plants in nearby Mason City, Iowa, which produced sacks of cement that were easily transportable. As for making concrete blocks, a person needed a cement mixer, cement block molds, and a crew to make and lay the concrete blocks. Early cement mixers were pretty basic and were pulled by horses. Wooden molds could be built that could make the curved silo blocks. Within a few years, small machines, like this one produced by the Anchor Company, could be purchased to make the required number of blocks. A small crew of concrete specialists could be hired to do the job, or the farmer, and a number of neighbors could also try. Of course, concrete companies thought their silos were the best, and there were local Minnesota hotbeds of concrete block silos built around Paynesville, Mankato, Marshall, and Northfield. I also came across one hotbed around Graceville, Minnesota. Here is some video of the silo. And here is some video of a nearby barn. That concludes the video. Make sure to check out my other YouTube videos and my primary website at mnbricks.com.